All right, hey everybody, back with another news feed here for you. And this one here, I found this article very interesting. The Ram Hurricane engine versus a Chrysler Hemi that it is replacing. What are the differences in here? Hemi's been around for a long time, and this one's been around since 2009. The one that we got out there now, the Gen 3, the 5.7 Hemi that's in there. We're going to highlight some of the things in this article that we're going to cover in this. But basically, the Hemi put out 395 horsepower, 410 foot-pounds of torque. Then they came out with e-torque, kicked in another 130 of extra torque that's boosted in there for towing capacity. The auto start-stop is here. We have no choices for that kind of stuff. But how does this new Hurricane stack up against this? And, you know, even at the EPA ratings and the stuff, why we had to get rid of V8s and go to these turbo six-cylinders, there's some interesting information in this. Okay, this is very interesting stuff. So, beginning in 2025, Ram introduced a Hurricane engine into the 1500 pickup as an alternative to the Pentastar, the amazing Pentastar. Okay, the 3.6 Pentastar V6 engine, this amazing motor that the Jeep has in it. Yes, it's got people that hate this thing and rag on it, but I'm telling you, it's one of the most dependable motors made today. But the Hurricane, the standard output Hurricane, is available to replace that in the 2025 model year 1500. They also offer the high output one. Okay, they got the standard output and they have the HO high output. The Hurricane is basically it's a twin turbo 3-liter inline six. What I'm so fascinated about it for is because it is inline six. I love inline motors. Okay, they're balanced well, they're smooth as butter because of their long bore on them. The power comes on real low in the torque or in the power in the RPM range. You get all that torque down low. I love inline motors. They're a beautiful, simple, gorgeous thing. Less moving parts. They're simple. They're powerful. They're amazing. They're a fantastic thing. And I love that Ram is going to use a twin turbo 3-liter inline six. I mean, look at it, the Ram Cummins diesel truck. Okay. I mean, inline power is just amazing. So that said, the like the e-torque version of 5 Semi, it also the new standard output Hurricane is going to feature engine start and stop tech. We have no choice. That's government mandated BS stuff. Government even makes it so that you can't turn that off. You can't have a feature in your car to turn it off where it stays off. You have to manually hit the button every time you start the vehicle to turn it on and off from the factory. It's like I said, government stupid emissions and restrictions. But buyers might worry that fewer emissions equal less horsepower, but the Hurricane boasts 420 horsepower, 469 foot-pounds of torque. The Hurricane also comes in a high-output version, pushing it to 540 horsepower, 521 foot-pounds of torque. According to Ram, the 1500 RHO with this engine will give drivers more standard horsepower than a Ford Raptor. That's pretty cool. Not the Raptor R, but the Raptor. The HO version outpowers a previous Ram 1500 by 145 horsepower and 111 foot-pounds of torque. It's nice. Now, how do they stack up for fuel economy wise? Okay. Well, it says right on here that the standard output of the Hurricane 6-cylinder, this is EPA numbers too. This is not, okay, this is actual EPA testing. But it says that the standard output Hurricane with the automatic 8-speed in the Ram is putting out 19 on the highway, combined MPG in 19, 17 on the city, 24 on the highway. That's pretty good numbers. The high output's coming in a little lower at a combined of 17 with 15 city, 21 highway. So you're dropping a few MPGs with a high output model. But when we look at it compared to the Hemi that was in it already, we were at 19, 18, and 22. So we were combined at 19. The new Hurricane standard output is the same at 19. They're about the same as what the Hemi is. So you're not really gaining any gas mileage going with the Hurricane over what you were with the Hemi in there. So it's pretty interesting there. It talks about how many barrels of gas you're going to use too and that kind of thing. But which engine has fewer emissions? This is interesting as well too. The EPA, okay, so we're going to be talking about GHG, greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide. But, and this is again EPA testing that is giving us info. But it says that the standard output Hurricane emits 458 grams of greenhouse gases per mile. The high output emits 521 grams of greenhouse gases per mile. The Hemi, likely once again thanks to the e-torque technology, that little hybrid boost with that small battery, was only doing 456 grams of greenhouse gases per mile in a test. So the Hurricane actually puts out more greenhouse gases than the Hemi did, yet the Hurricane is supposed to replace it because it's going to do better and better for the economy to go to for the environment to go to a 6-cylinder turbo than it is to use the old archaic naturally aspirated V8s. But it's interesting. Look how close those numbers are. That's pretty, I found that very interesting. Point of comparison, a typical all-wheel drive passenger car such as the Toyota Camry with a 2.5 4-cylinder kicks out 315 grams per mile greenhouse gases. Interesting. Which has better tow capacity? I also found this very interesting. The standard output engine offers a max tow capacity of 11,550 pounds. High output Hurricane has more horsepower and even less towing capacity at 9,920. That is, I'm assuming, because the high output is only used in like the RHO and things like that. That's going to have the softer tuned suspensions and things of that nature at this point. That's why it's putting out less tow rating, because it's used in lifted, softer suspension vehicles. Has nothing to do with the motors. But I found it interesting that the 5.7 Hemi standard edition put out 11,610. Actually towed almost 60 pounds more than what this new Hurricane does. And the hybrid one, the Hemi with the e-torque, went up to 12,700 pounds. So with the Hurricane, we're actually losing tow capacity. But it's kind of interesting. I find it interesting that this motor exists. I'm glad it does, and I'm very excited for it. I cannot wait, because I want an inline six. I love that capability and feature of this, and the turbo factor of that. And the turbos are so much softer on an inline six. Everything about an inline six is durability and low power and smoothness and simplicity, and I love that factor. But I do find it interesting that with all of this push for all the economy stuff that we got to deal with in the emissions, that this Hurricane motor is actually worse than what the Hemi was. Kind of found that very interesting. Let me know your thoughts on that. Now, also, another interesting thing we're going to talk about real quick is this right here. Hurricane crate motor is already available for this thing. We can already get a Hurricane crate motor in 3 different phases. And, they sell these like this, so you can put them in other vehicles. But it's nice to know that you can buy one of these and put it in your truck. In worst case scenario, if your motor completely goes out and is gone, and this one's got everything. We got the turbos on it. We got the intercoolers on it. We got this has got it all. Turbos here. We got everything you want. A full-blown crate motor is available for the Hurricane. Where are they coming in at? So, it finally arrived as a crate motor. I believe it came, they knew in 2022 they were going to be offering this as a crate motor. It comes in 2 tunes and 2 block sizes ranging from $8,000 to $14,000. They tell you right here, in crate form, it's referred to as a Hurricane. 2 options currently available: a Category 1 rated at 420 horsepower and a Cat 3 rated at 550 horsepower. Long block versions are priced at $8,000 for the Cat 1, $11,700 for the Cat 3. Short blocks versions are more expensive here, priced at $10,500 for the Cat 1 and $13,700 for the Cat 3. It's interesting. I don't know why it's more. It says short block versions ideal for buyers looking to build custom concepts. They only include things like the engine block, crank, and pistons. We knew that, but I wonder why they're more expensive. I don't understand that. Maybe because these long blocks are just pulled right off the assembly line as they're being built fully, so they got more of them and it can be more mass produced and quicker, where a short block version is more of a custom buy, it's a custom order type thing, I'm assuming. But pretty interesting that they have these out now, and that's a beautiful thing. And let that sink in, that if you got a standard output, you got one of these Rams here, and you got a Ram 1500 with a standard output Hurricane motor in there, and that thing goes down on you, worst case scenario, $8,000, and you got a brand new motor. That's not too bad. And the installation is probably putting a motor in. We're probably looking at, I'm guessing somewhere probably $2,000 to install that motor. So for $9,000, we were at $8,000, I think. So for $10,000, you can have a brand new motor crate motor put in your Ram 1500. Toyota was charging $30-something thousand to put short blocks in their Tundras at the dealership. So pretty interesting stuff, and a nice check mark for Ram. Again, if you're looking to buy a Ram 1500 and drive it for 15 years, even if you're a high mile guy, say you put 250,000 miles on this thing and that motor completely blows up or gives you too many problems, 10 grand more, you drop a new motor in it, including labor, and now you're good for another 250,000 miles. Not a bad deal. So let me know what you think about it. I found it all pretty interesting. Thanks for watching.